guys, welcome to TST Garage. I'm Bart, and today in this video I'll be showing you how to install the TST Industries Brake Light Modulator on your bike. Now, a brake light modulator, sometimes called a strobe, sometimes called a brake light flasher, what it does is basically enables you to install some electronics on your bike so that when you press your brakes, the brake light flashes in some kind of pattern and alerts the drivers behind you that you will be stopping. Our particular brake light modulator comes pre-wired to a plug that interfaces with a sub harness that we provide specific to your bike model that enables plug and play functionality with your bike. So that means that the installation is really fast and you can do it yourself. Now, the electronics inside, we do have the ability for you to program this unit to 3 different functions and then subsequently adjust the rate of the effect to your liking. Our first programmable mode is strobe alert. This mode will produce 9 flashes and then stay solid for the duration of the brake engagement. Second one is intermittent pulsar. Each cycle will flash 10 times and then pause, and then these cycles will repeat for the duration of the brake engagement. The last available option is pulsar, and this one just basically provides continuous flashing for the duration of the brake engagement. Now we'll show you how to install this. It's really simple, and then after the installation chunk, I will show you in detail how to get inside here, how to program the different modes, and how to alter the rate of those different modes. We did think about the safety of such devices during the design phase, so we decided to design this in a way that it will be a pass-through component. In case you experience a failure on board here, it will just pass through your normal brake function, which means you press your brake light lights up, there's just no effect. In case you do experience that failure, we do offer a warranty, so we have guys standing by in our support department that will take your call, email, Facebook message, whatever, and we'll get you replaced. And that's pretty much it. I'm really excited to show you guys just how easy this is to put on and configure. So let's get started. All right, so for this demonstration, we've got ourselves a Ninja 650 in the shop. This actual installation procedure will also be the same thing, same procedure for the Kawasaki Z650. The tail components on those bikes are exactly the same, so there's no difference in the assembly procedure. Now, if you've already got yourself one of our TST Industries integrated taillights that are programmable, they actually have all of the programs that our brake light modulator comes with on board, so this would be a redundant part for you. If you don't have this and you're just in the market looking around, please check out our video on this integrated taillight. It's really cool, plug and play. It's got a program button, allows you to select signal and brake programs, and it's a really nice part. Anyway, for this installation, we'll be focusing on how to install our brake light modulator. As you can see here, we have a vehicle specific set of plugs here that will make this entire assembly plug and play. You get the 4 conductor plugs or connectors seated together until they click, and now we have this ready to go in the bike. This will plug into the harness, and this will plug our tail light in. All right, let's get the seat off and start the process. Passenger seat comes off pretty easy here. These bikes are actually also easy to remove the front seat on, so we'll do that. Now, our connector for the tail light is under here. We could technically dig it out from within the trunk compartment. It would be less involved as far as removing components, but I find it very difficult to maneuver in there with my large hands. So also, for the sake of demonstrating this to you guys really nicely, I will be removing this component here. We'll need a 4mm Allen and an 8mm socket. These two fasteners here need to come out. Those are 8mm. And then there is a fastener here on this part that goes under the tank. This is a 4mm Allen. Now this is loose, and this component just gets pushed towards the rear of the bike. and that's how you disengage all of these sliding lock components that have captive geometry windows here. And now we have access. So we'll need to find our taillight connector. It's right underneath this shroud here. We can just follow the harness down, and this is pretty short here. So what I'm gonna do is take it out to the outside here, flex this away to show you guys in detail. This is actually at this point easier just to push back into this compartment and get a screwdriver on the locking tab, but like I said, for demonstrating to you guys, I'll have to get it out. So I like to use a small flathead screwdriver on this locking feature we have here. That makes it really easy to withdraw this plug. I'll just pry this down and it just seemingly slips out. So now we have these two connectors, male and female. We will just match those up with our brake light modulator setup. Fairly self-explanatory. There's only one way to get these things back together. Now we'll need to do something about the wire bulk here and also our brake light modulator. I like to pass the brake light modulator housing to the inside of the trunk compartment, distribute my wire bulk. There are numerous ways to do this, but we don't have that much wire length, so this seems to be pretty good here. Make sure that your subtray actually lays flat on the subframe and that there's nothing obstructing it to contact its touch points, and also make sure that wires aren't going to be rubbed on. All right, now I like this tube here for the mounting of my brake light modulator. We have a nice slot here for our cable tie. I'll grab the provided cable ties and start mounting it. Here's the channel that we've designed into the housing of our brake light modulator. This is a nifty little device that actually captures the width of our cable tie. It makes it really easy to mount that component to any frame or other harness or something like that. What I like to make sure in these installations is that the grommet, where the wires exit the housing, faces either directly down or at least slopes down. That prevents any possible water penetration. And then also consider how the seat goes on and where it has touch points. So on this particular bike, we have touch points here and also up here. So we're safe in this area. We're good to go. I can go ahead and get this tight. You notice that I have not programmed this thing yet. We'll be showing you that in the next section after installation. So you can go ahead and watch this, but I would suggest you don't tighten this down just yet, because you're going to want to make sure that you like the programming that you have going on your unit. My best recommendation to you guys is that you watch this once, go ahead and connect everything after you've disassembled the bike, and then make your final mounting after you're already committed to the programs and features that are available to you on board this unit. I'm going to cut off the excess here and reassemble the bike in the reverse order of disassembly. Before I do that, I will really quickly test this thing, make sure I actually have function. Okay, so when you're reinstalling this side fairing, it is important to go underneath this, under the tank fairing first, and then align all your slide locks. Push this forward, make sure all of the screw holes are aligned, and then begin refastening everything with the same screws that came out of each location. That's all there is to it. Now we're done. For mode selection and rate adjustment, we will need to get inside this capsule to access the electronics. These two Phillips head screws will need to be removed. What I like to do is unscrew them until they disengage from their receiving threads and leave them in the cap. Otherwise, it's pretty easy to lose them. If we pull them off with the cap, they are self-captive. All right, now we'll identify the parts here. This button is the mode selector, and this potentiometer is your rate adjuster. Clockwise is faster, counterclockwise is slower. Let's first do our selection of modes. With the brake pressed, press the button once to toggle to the next available program. Now the brake does have to be pressed so that the unit powers up, otherwise you won't be able to make the selection. If you find that you've pressed the button but the selection has not been changed, just do it again with the brake pressed. So now we will go on to the next program, press the brake once more, press the button once, and now you're in the next mode. Now we've switched twice, so pressing it one more time will return to the original mode that your unit arrived in. Now for rate adjustment, we'll be using the potentiometer. With the brake pressed, we can turn it clockwise to make it go faster, counterclockwise to decrease the rate. Now in brake alert, you will only have 9 flashes to make your adjustment, and then it'll stay solid. This one doesn't actually lend itself to really fast flashing at the top of the range. Bottom of the range is unusable, so I like to set it somewhere towards 3/4 to maybe 80% clockwise, and that does it for me. Now if we change to the next one, this one is pulsar, and this one just keeps on flashing, so I like to have it going pretty fast here. Choice is really up to you. If you want to explore the next mode, we have the intermittent pulsar. This one to me belongs somewhere close to the top of the range, makes it the most visible. But again, freedom means choice. The decision is ultimately up to you. Once you're done with your adjustment and you're where you want to be with all your modes and rates, replace the cap, turn the screws back in, and it really is just that simple. Replace your brake light modulator in the space that you decided to keep it, and you're good to go.